Due to how cute and bloopy the Master System port of Streets of Rage is, I suggest we rebrand this title to something more fitting. How about Streets of Mild Peril, or Bear Cuddle if you're in Japan? By 1991, the Master System was wrapping up its time on the North American market, and a lot of titles that us lot in the PAL territories take for granted just didn't come to America. I like to refer to the PAL territories as the Alpha territories as a result of this. Get good, America! Anyway, such was our unwavering thirst for Master System games that in 1993 it was actually viable for Sega to port Streets of Rage to the Master System, despite the fact that Streets of Rage 2 was already on the market. And it was clearly successful because they even ported Streets of Rage 2 to the Master System as well. But that's a video for a different day. Streets of Rage for the Master System was developed by Yuzo Koshira's independent development studio Ancient, who had previously found success with the Master System port of the original Sonic the Hedgehog. Koshiro is also famous for composing the original Streets of Rage's soundtrack. What the studio have managed to do here is nothing short of remarkable, as all 8 stages from the Mega Drive game are represented in this Master System port. All 3 playable characters make it over as well, which is not the case for the Game Gear port released the year prior, which only makes Axel and Blaze playable. The stage count in the Game Gear port is also dialed back from 8 to 5. Sega have made a real effort to make this Master System version the absolute best it could be, and I honestly don't think they could have done much better considering the limitations of the hardware. Look at how colourful and detailed these stages look. When you see stuff like this and just how capable the Master System can be in the right hands, you just have to wonder why the thing never took off in America. This is a much prettier game than a lot of NES software, but I guess visuals aren't everything. Thankfully, Master System Streets of Rage also delivers on the gameplay front. Now, I'm not going to say it's as satisfying to punch and kick Eviltons in this version when compared to the Mega Drive game. In fact, it does feel a little tame by comparison, with only the mighty suplex delivering that chunky crunch that the best Streets of Rage combat does. But it's competent enough for an 8-bit game. The PSG sound chip of the Master System really undersells the combat here, and unfortunately it just can't be helped. It's a weakness with the console itself. But stick with it because there's still some fun brawling to be had, with every character's full moveset available to use, which keeps the action fast, frantic and interesting throughout. That will always be one of Streets of Rage's real strengths. It's a brawler that never feels repetitive. Its wide moveset and constant introduction of new enemies, weapons and stage gimmicks always keep it fresh and exciting to play through. And that's no different here. You even have the limited use special attack where a police car rocks up and fires a bazooka into your vicinity, devastating any enemies on screen. It's a bit weird how you activate it in this port though, requiring you to pause the game and press button 1. This would be fine if the pause button was on the controller, but the Master System famously has its pause button on the console itself, which was not an ideal setup even back in the day. Other than the music being all jumbled up with themes generally being assigned to the wrong stages, the only real downside to playing Streets of Rage on a Master System is that it is a single player experience only. This was always a problem with 8-bit brawlers and it's no different here. Streets of Rage just isn't as fun when you're playing solo. Even the Game Gear port had multiplayer using a link cable, but I guess it was just too taxing on the Master System to have this port feature so much of the original game's content without sacrificing something. This doesn't even get solved for the Master System port of Streets of Rage 2, sadly. Regardless, if you want a fascinating look at how you scale down a much more advanced game for an underpowered system, then the Master System port of Streets of Rage is often hitting way above its average in most areas. It's stuff like this that made Master System owners feel like they weren't missing out, and it made the console feel like a nice little budget equivalent to the Mega Drive.